Shut up, folks. We'll get started momentarily here. As usual, just doing some shares. Getting some people in the know. Because I go live at random times. It's been quite a bit longer to get ready today than I was hoping. But hey, that's the way she goes. This is not my full-time job. Ton of stuff to talk about tonight, as always. It's gonna be an exciting episode. There's a couple more shares going out here. While we're at it, make sure if you're not subscribed already, subscribe or follow the channel. Let's pump it up. And it's got a couple more spots to do the shares here for, folks. Gonna be juicy as always here. We're gonna get going momentarily.
You are watching Chaos Crypto News, the crypto news that you need to know.
What's happening, everybody? Hope you're doing well this evening. Chaos Crypto News Live. We've got a whole bunch of shit to talk about, and as always, it's gonna be crazy. So we'll dive right in here. First things I want to mention, as always, this is not financial advice. You must always do your own research and don't trust, but verify. A little bit of Quantzilla news. We talked about this the other day. We have a big airdrop that's happening right now, and holders of 2 billion or more Quantzilla are going to receive 3 different XRPL tokens that are associated with Quantzilla, including 2 partner projects, Moon and XRP Apes, the latter of which just dropped a killer NFT collection like last week, and it sold out basically almost instantly. And the third being operated by the Quantzilla team ourselves, with ambitious plans to create a strong and long-lasting community on the XRPL. This one's called XRPT or XRP Town, accompanied by the XR Players NFT collection, which you can see behind me here. It's pretty sweet. These tokens that we're going to be airdropping, they're all part of the innovative and secure meme-safe token escrow as well, folks. So if you haven't checked that out, it's going to lock up your tokens. And a significant portion, I should say, like, 56 to 60% type of thing. And it ensures long-term stability of the token, essentially, right? Because most of it's locked up, and people can't just dunk or whatever. Check out memesafe.online here, especially if you're a token creator or an XRPL developer, because we can help you out lock up, like I said, a good portion of your token and provide long-term stability and trust. We're also applying for a Ripple grant based on this for further development and expansion of services, so that's going to be pretty cool. And kind of pass over it there quick. Don't forget to hit that rocket on deck screener. We're on our way to 700. Super exciting stuff there, folks, for Quantzilla. Also for XRPT. Make sure you smash that. If you haven't jumped in yet, head over to Quantzilla Online, www.quantzillaonline. Join our Telegram community. Link to XRPT. Get paid to raid on both projects and even win an XR Players NFT. Also, verify our coin addresses because we do have impersonators. Check out my YouTube. I got more content there at KhaosDubz. And again, like, share, subscribe, and follow. Let's jump into it. First things on the chopping block today. A UN report exposes crypto in organized crime laundering. Blockbeat's news report on April 21st that a UN Office on Drugs and Crime report highlights transnational crime groups, primarily from East and Southeast Asia, using illegal cryptocurrency miners to launder billions globally. The UNODC report suggests that these networks leveraging unregulated areas and technology pose a substantial global financial threat. Their diverse operations now include the unlicensed exchanges, stablecoins, and digital ecosystems. The UNODC report identifies organized crime network using illegal cryptocurrency mining to launder billions through unstable regions like Zambia and Nigeria. Named platforms including Huion Guarantee or Hao Wang integrate tools for money laundering and hash power. Financial repercussions include vast sums reportedly funneled through networks, changing the scope of law enforcement's ability to fight such crime. The surge in industrial-scale fraud reflects growing sophistication and adaptation to the legal landscape. It's crazy out there, folks. Times are changing, and like I said last time, the criminals are always kind of one step ahead, so it's kind of a reactionary approach most times from law enforcement. Well, a crypto rug pull losses have soared 6,499% this year, despite decrease in frequency, says DApp Radar. Rug pulls are a deceptive scheme, obviously, in the crypto space where insiders holding large amounts of tokens hype up a project to attract capital, only to suddenly sell all their holdings, essentially killing the token. That's Solana for you. In a new report, DApp Radar says that the Web3 ecosystem has already lost nearly $6 billion to rug pulls in 2025, up by basically 6,500% from just $90 million during the same period in 2024. The increase in value loss is largely due to the incident involving the real-world asset crypto project Mantra that we talked about, which accounts for 92% of the losses. Home token plunged from a high of $6.35 to about 37 cents after at least 17 wallets transferred 43.6 million Ohm, worth about 227 million at the time, to crypto exchanges. Obviously, there was some controversy there. But while rug pulls caused more financial damage this year, their frequency has actually dropped. So there were 21 recorded incidents of the scheme in early 2024, but only 7 have so far been reported this year. The figure marks a 66% decrease in frequency year over year. In early 2024, the most rug pulls originated from DeFi protocols, non-fungible token projects, and meme coins. Well, this year, the majority of incidents occurred within the meme coin sector. Once again, Solana for you. They've released like literally millions of coins over the last couple of months or whatever it is, last year type of thing. It's like 4 million coins over the last year. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Drainer as a service crypto theft tools now sold via subscription, a report warrants. So, I mean, as usual, again, the criminals are always one step ahead, and Canada loves criminals. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the episode here. But troubling transformation is reshaping the landscape of crypto-related cybercrime as sophisticated digital theft tools known as crypto drainers become increasingly accessible through subscription-based services, according to new research. Blockchain security firm AML Bot's latest findings highlight how these malicious tools designed to siphon digital assets from unsuspecting victims' wallets are now being marketed as a drainer-as-a-service package. These services are available for subscription fees starting from 100 USDs, dramatically lowering the technical barriers for entry for potential criminals. So, again, criminals are always one step ahead. The technical hurdles that once deterred amateur cyber criminals have largely disappeared. Perhaps most alarming is the brazen approach some drainer groups have adopted, with organizations like CryptoGrab openly exhibiting at industry events. Come on, this is ridiculous. The unprecedented boldness appears rooted in the peculiarities of Russian cybercrime enforcement, where malicious activities targeting non-post-Soviet nations face minimal scrutiny. So what that means is essentially, like, if you weren't Soviet Russia, they don't give a fuck. The recruitment process for developing these tools has also evolved, with job advertisements for drainer developers appearing on mainstream platforms, particularly targeting Russian-speaking programmers. Financial impact data reveals the growing scale of the threat, with losses attributed to the drainers reaching €494, marking a 67% increase despite only a modest rise in victim numbers. Kaspersky's research indicates that darknet resources dedicated to drainers have more than doubled since 2022. So fake Grok tokens target CZ Binance wallet as Elon Musk AI scam wave intensifies. Fraudsters are exploiting the allure of Elon Musk's AI chatbot Grok to orchestrate phishing schemes involving counterfeit tokens. On April 21st, a digital wallet associated with CZ Zhao, the former head of Binance, was inundated with 90 million sham Grok tokens, as reported by blockchain watchdog PeckShield. So Grok has no affiliation with any crypto, nor does it intend to launch one. This is not the first instance of such deceit, though. In 2023, a scammer unleashed an ERC20 Grok token on the Ethereum network, only to offload a mere 0.5% of its total supply, which triggered a catastrophic 90% plunge in its value. Crazy how that shit works. The resurgence of Musk-related scams extends beyond the fake tokens. On April 14th, Dennis Thomas, a crypto recovery and security advocate, exposed a fraudulent announcement masquerading as an AI Elon Musk stream, promising $20,000 in crypto giveaways. This is not new. This has been around for a while, folks. There was a bunch of things on YouTube, I mean, as late as 2 or 3 years ago that were doing this during COVID. People were like, pretending to be Elon Musk or Brad Garlinghouse, and you say donate 5 XRP and we'll give you 10, or donate 500 and we'll give you 1,000. We'll send it back to the address that you sent it from. It's just an obvious scam, right? That's not legitimate, but it's been happening for a while, and I'm surprised YouTube doesn't stop it. Additionally, CoinSpeedRun, a scam detection platform, recently uncovered several Musk-inspired meme coins launched on the BNB Smart Chain, further illustrating the persistent threat. So, you know how I was saying a couple episodes ago, if you paid attention to the market, right? People are jumping from Solana to BNB because it's also, reliable and cheap for memes and all that. Well, now look, the problems are moving over as well. It's not a surprise, though. That's just what happens, right? As scammers continue to refine their methods, the need for vigilance remains paramount, folks. Moving on. Telegram vows to exit markets over encryption backdoor demands. Well, see, this is good. At least the person is standing up for our privacy. And I like a lot of the things he's saying in here. So let's touch on this here. Telegram founder Pavel Durov has criticized the French government for attempting to ban encryption, calling it a serious threat to digital privacy. French lawmakers nearly passed a bill last month that would have forced messaging apps to include backdoors that would give law enforcement agencies access to private messages. Telegram founder praised the National Assembly for blocking the legislation, arguing that it would have made France the first country to eliminate its citizens' right to digital privacy. He said governments with poor records on civil liberties have never gone as far as banning encryption. According to Durov, the introduction of backdoors weakens security rather than enhancing it. He argued that anyone, including foreign governments and cybercriminals, could exploit a backdoor if it is created. And he's right. He further argued that the real victims of such backdoors would be law-abiding citizens whose messages could be intercepted or leaked. And it's inevitable. I mean, CRA's been hacked a bunch. Canada Revenue Agency, Health Canada's been hacked. I know this shit happens in the States too, but this is of the utmost important information and owned by government entities, and that shit's getting fucking hacked. Come on. He also challenged the notion that such legislation would curb illegal activities. He highlighted that criminals would simply just migrate to smaller, more secure apps or use tools like VPNs, making it even harder to track. Durov clarified that Telegram would rather exit any market than compromise its encryption standards or violate fundamental human rights. Durov warned that lawmakers must stop treating encryption as a tool for criminals. He said that encryption is a fundamental right that safeguards the privacy of everyday people. And that's 100% true. We've talked about this before too, folks. Just because you want to have online privacy, it doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong or trying to hide something or, any of this shit. The currency that's most used for money laundering is the US dollar. And people don't seem to realize that because the government's like, oh, look, crypto, people are using it for illegal things. Yeah, a small percentage of people are. But most people in crypto are, holding it for long-term belief in projects that are actually making a change, right? That's why utility is what it's all about. Looks like we're talking about Pi Network here, folks. So they're trying again. They've released a roadmap here, but why are users so confused? Well, it's meant to be confusing. When shit doesn't, make a whole lot of sense, it doesn't quite add up. It's why? Well, because it's a fucking scam. After long-time anticipation, Pi Network has made a major move. A new roadmap has been released, hinting at what's next for millions of users, and it's already stirring up concern. Well, Pi's been stirring up concern this whole time. Instead of clarity, the document has triggered a wave of frustration and doubt. While the roadmap outlines 3 phases of token movement, including mining rewards, referral bonuses, and node payouts, it provides no concrete timeline for when these transitions will happen. Users are left guessing about when their Pi will become usable, how many are queued for movement, and how long the process will take. I mean, if it took these Harvard graduates 6 years to launch this thing to mainnet, and then since then it's just been, hitting all-time lows and like it's just been a downward spiral, I just can't imagine, because there's people who are launching currencies in like 15 minutes. Like kids can launch currencies in no time. I get these guys that are trying to put some infrastructure into it, but it's like, but something just doesn't smell right. It doesn't pass a sniff test. It's not right. There's a reason for that. Exchange supply nosedives. Well, this is interesting development though here, isn't it? Because over 13 million Pi coins were withdrawn from OKX in a series of rapid high-value transactions traced to the same buyer. In less than 48 hours, this address executed 3 massive transfers totaling over 41 million Pi, worth roughly $27 million. Sudden outflow has sharply reduced OKX's available Pi supply, adding fuel to growing speculation of an incoming price breakout. Despite the massive $27 million withdrawal from OKX, Pi Network's price action remains muted. Tell me what you think in the comments, what you think that means. Like, it could be nothing, right? It could be a nothing burger, or it could be, possibly a sell the news event, but, there's nothing that's really happened yet. So maybe people haven't realized what's going on, or, we'll see, I guess. We'll see how it plays out. Something we'll keep covering for sure. Now, talking about the Bybit hack that happened a little while back there. Well, Bybit reveals an update on the $1.4 billion hack. The majority of funds are still traceable. Interesting stuff. Bybit reported significant progress in tracking the funds stolen during the February cyber attack attributed to the Lazarus Group. According to its CEO, Ben Zhao, almost 70% of the 1.4 billion stolen currencies are still traceable, while the rest has been dispersed using techniques that make tracking it much more difficult. The breakdown presented indicates that about 28% almost of the funds are no longer traceable, and only 3.8% has been frozen. The loss of traceability is primarily due to the use of mixers and cross-chain bridges that allow assets to be moved between different blockchains. Zhu explained that around 944 bitcoins, equivalent to about $90 million, circulated through Wasabi before being split. He also detailed that 432,748 Ethereum, valued at approximately $1.21 billion, were transformed into 10,003 Bitcoin through Thorchain. This conversion facilitated the dispersion of the funds into more than 35,000 wallets, I should say. Despite the maneuvers, around 17 million in ETH still remain on Ethereum, distributed across almost 12,500 addresses. Could you imagine trying to deal with that? Oh, I gotta go pull my, whatever it is, half an Ethereum or something, I think they say here, out of 12,500 wallets. You need to hire people to help you. That would be such a shit job. Bybit launched a reward program in February aimed at gathering information to freeze the stolen funds. Over the past 2 months, the program has received more than 5,400 reports, of which only 70 were useful. So far, the initiative has paid out $2.3 million in rewards. One of the most effective interventions was made by the Mantle Network, which managed to freeze $42 million related to the theft. Pretty cool stuff how they put that out for the community to help participate as an incentive. Official Trump coin surges 65% after the Trump Project announces an exclusive dinner event with Donald Trump. Crazy stuff, folks. It's like a TV show playing out in front of us. The world is a stage, as they like to say. Price of the Trump token skyrocketed over 60% from around $9 to over $14.50 after the project announced that the top 220 holders would be invited to a gala dinner with the U.S. president. The coin has recorded a trading volume of 3.37 billion in just 24 hours. Also, Trump USDC trading pair has seen more than 1,500 transactions today alone. However, the coin is not retraced to below $14, but it is still up 43% over the past 24 hours. The event that has caused the traffic is expected to take place on May 22nd at the Trump National Golf Club in Washington, D.C. Even with today's rise, the Trump coin is still worth more than 80% less than its all-time high of $73 on January 19th. It's been a crazy year already, folks. Absolutely nuts. The event happened shortly after the $300 million worth of locked-up Trump tokens were released in circulation on April 18th. The excitement around the dinner is high, of course. The project page says, for the top 25 coin holders, you are invited to an exclusive reception before dinner. Special VIP White House tour for you also, so make sure you stay in town. And investors in the top 15 will get an extra treat. They will have a special reception with Trump before the dinner and be taken on a VIP White House tour. But I mean, that's kind of what it just said for the top 25 coin holders. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, if this is just like an AI slop article that got fucked up or whatever. But apparently, the more Trump you hold and the longer you hold it, the higher your ranking will be. Meanwhile, about 75% of all the tokens that have been made are still locked up. The next unlock will happen in July, adding over $600 million worth of the coins to the supply. Donations to politicians are limited by U.S. law. The Federal Election Campaign Act says that each person can give out $3,500 to a candidate in a single transaction. But if it's a super political action committee that isn't directly tied to the candidate, then they give as much money as they want. So there was a reaction against Trump's token, which came out just days before Donald Trump's inauguration. And it was seen as taking advantage of Trump's frame and giving insiders many tokens. After the token launched on January 17th, the project's market cap increased to roughly $15 billion before dropping 50% by January 20th. This time around, Trump is using the White House to tour Trump holders. Dems have been against this idea from the beginning. Senator Chris Murphy says the U.S. president is running a backdoor bribery scheme in which any CEO or foreign oligarch can send him money secretly through his crypto coin scam in exchange for favors. During a meeting, Senator Bernie Sanders said the same thing. He said Trump makes money by selling coins, crypto coins, and that anyone can contribute, which is a direct line to the president. There's no proof that it has happened, but lawyers have said it is possible. So, I mean, like they always say, it's not what you can prove, or it's not what you know, it's what you can prove in court, I guess. I guess that rings true here. I'm going to talk a little bit about Satoshi here again. Quantum computers may reveal Bitcoin's creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. Well, I don't know if this is true or not, but let's see what it has to say, because it is an interesting prospect, and I'm going to drop the Satoshi interview. I shouldn't say interview, but deep dive, I guess, into who Satoshi probably is. I'm going to drop that on you again after this, folks, because it's important. The active use of quantum computers in the field of digital assets may reveal one thing of the industry's biggest mysteries. Is the anonymous creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, alive? The fact is that under the pressure of increasing speed of quantum computing, Satoshi will eventually be forced to move his Bitcoins to another wallet to ensure the coins from theft. However, this is only possible if he still keeps an eye on what's happening in the blockchain industry. Bitcoin owners would have to move assets to new addresses with quantum-resistant signatures. And I think what that means is there is quantum-resistant signatures already. It's just a matter of not having an output. So if you send your Bitcoin to an address, don't spend out of that address, because if you spend out of the address, it gives the quantum computer the ability to, I guess, unlock the private seed or the sending address, or however you want to look at it. I guess there is new technology that's going to get developed, but that's my understanding right now, is you can already be quantum proof as long as you don't send out of that address. If your long-term hold address gets spent out of for any reason, move the rest of your holdings to a different address that, again, has no spends out of it, and that should protect you at least for the time being. Modern quantum computers, he says, do not pose a serious threat to Bitcoin cryptography, but that could change in the future. He estimates that such technologies could emerge in about 20 years. And this guy's out to lunch, he hasn't been paying attention to the news or something, because HBAR, Hedera Hashgraph, it is has been for a while already working on quantum-resistant semiconductors, because they know this is imminent. And after we found that out, and Google's chip was already scaring people, well then Microsoft came out with the Majorana chip, which can fit like 1 million qubits on the tiny little chip the size of a credit card. We've talked about it in a couple past episodes already. And yeah, that's gonna take it down from 20 years to possibly months, years max. So this shit's like right on the horizon. When the threat becomes real, the Bitcoin community will have to choose between writing off old vulnerable addresses or allowing attackers to steal your funds, which will definitely be bad for the value of the digital asset and its reputation. So it sounds like Satoshi's coins are just held on one of the older types of Bitcoin address. This would force Bitcoin's creator to move the funds if he wants to avoid loss. However, whether such a transition will be proof that Satoshi is alive also depends on future privacy mechanisms in the Bitcoin network. However, not everyone believes that. Then it will become clear that Nakamoto is alive. One anonymous early miner told reporters that he does not expect coins to move. His retort was as follows: "Even if he's alive and has access to the private keys, I don't think he'll touch them. Judging by his behavior before, I rather expect him to leave it up to the community. Interesting stuff. Back explained that the most quantum tolerant implementations of signatures have either not yet been proven secure or require significant amounts of data. He cited Lamport signatures as an example. This is an old and proven scheme, but it takes dozens of kilobytes. As a result, the expert suggested that the community should be ready to switch to quantum resistant signatures, but do it only if necessary. He also suggested a similar implementation based on Taproot, which would allow addresses to switch to appropriate signatures as needed. Interesting stuff there. I guess some developments that will be seen in the future days. I can't stress this enough. This video here, I've mentioned this guy a couple of times in the last couple of episodes so far, but head over to the Great Crypto Escape, folks. This video only has 4.7 thousand views. It is being suppressed heavily. This is the most accurate deep dive I've seen ever on who Satoshi Nakamoto actually is. This guy has receipts. He seems to be able to prove it pretty well, better than anybody else I've ever seen. And the video is called Cubic Creator is Satoshi Nakamoto. And the alleged Satoshi here is Sergey Ivancheglo, CFB, I guess is part of his name on some of the forums, as you'll see when he does a deep dive here. This is a two-part deep dive. You got to check it out. Head over to the Great Crypto Escape and check out this video right here because it's going to blow your damn mind. Don't do it right now, obviously. Once this episode's over, definitely worth checking out. I got it posted on my X page or in the comments of one of the last videos I did. Moving on. Size matters. Open source video generators can now make full-length scenes. Super cool and exciting stuff here. Open source video generators are heating up and giving closed source behemoths a run for their money. They're more customizable, less restricted, uncensored, even free to use, and now producing high-quality videos with 3 models, Wan, Mochi, and Hanyuan, ranking among the top 10 of all video generators. Now, if we look here, Mochi 1 is Genmo, Tencent is doing the Hanyuan, and Alibaba is doing the Wan. So they're all Chinese companies. Just, keep that in mind. The latest breakthrough comes in extending video duration beyond the typical few seconds, with 2 new models demonstrating the ability to generate content lasting minutes instead of just seconds. In fact, Skyreel's V2, released this week, claims it can generate scenes of potentially infinite duration while maintaining consistency throughout. FramePad gives users with lower-end hardware the ability to create long videos without burning out their PCs. So pretty cool stuff here. Skyreel's V2 represents a significant advancement in video generation technology, tackling 4 critical challenges that have limited previous models. It describes its system, which synergizes multiple AI technologies, as an infinite-length film generative model. It works by conditioning on the last frames of previously generated content to create new segments, preventing quality degradation over extended sequences. In other words, the model looks at the final frames it just created to decide what comes next, ensuring smooth transitions and consistent quality. This is the main reason why video generators tend to stick with short videos of around 10 seconds. Anything longer and the generation tends to lose coherence and essentially start to hallucinate. You're like, what the fuck is going on here? The results are pretty impressive though, and we'll show a little clip of the video here. Subjects remain identifiable throughout the long scenes, and backgrounds don't warp or introduce artifacts that could damage the scene. So believe it or not, this is an AI video here. Like, it's slightly uncanny, like just a little bit, like a tiny little bit, but it's pretty fucking good. That's a pretty complex scene to generate. That's pretty neat, right? The system uses a multi-stage training pipeline that progressively increases resolution from 256p to 720p, providing high-quality results while maintaining visual coherence. For motion quality, a persistent weakness in AI video generation, the team implemented reinforcement learning specifically designed to improve natural movement patterns. The model is available to try at Skyreel's AI. Users get enough credits to generate only 1 video. The rest requires a monthly subscription starting at $8 per month. However, those willing to run it locally will need a God-tier PC. Generating a 540p video using the 1.3 billion model requires approximately 14.7 gigabytes peak VRAM, while the same resolution video using the 14 billion model, I think, Demands around 51.2 gigabytes peak VRAM, the team says on GitHub. So that's fucking bananas. That's talking graphics card VRAM, obviously. Potato PC owners can rejoice, though. There's something for you too. FramePack offers a different approach to Skyreel's technique, focusing on efficiency rather than just length. Using FramePack, nodes can generate frames at impressive speeds, just 1.5 seconds per frame when optimized, while requiring only 6 gigabytes of VRAM. So that's pretty manageable by most people. To generate 1-minute videos at 30 frames per second, which is 1800 frames total, using 13B model, the minimal required GPU memory is 6 gigabytes. Yes, 6 gigabytes, not a typo. Laptop GPUs are okay. Crazy stuff. This low hardware requirement represents a potential democratization of AI video technology, bringing advanced generation capabilities within reach of consumer-grade GPUs. Pretty cool stuff. Moving on. This AI model can scream hysterically in terror. Now, this is like going to be, a bit of an ethical dilemma as the future moves into this kind of stuff. But let me know what you think in the comments, because this is kind of interesting, kind of freaky. We're getting to a point, folks. Like Sam Altman said, nearing the singularity, unsure which side. Nari Labs has released DIA, 1.6B, an open source to speech model that claims to outperform established players like 11 Labs and Sesame in generating emotionally expressive speech. The model's super tiny with just 1.6 billion parameters, but can still create realistic dialogue, complete with laughter, coughs, and emotional inflections. It can even scream in terror. So, we can check this out here. But now some AI models can even scream, it says, if you ask them to. It's not something that happens naturally or organically, which apparently is DIA's 1.6B superpower. It understands that in certain situations, a scream is appropriate. Is that sentience? That's kind of freaky. Like, this fucking AI knows that, this might be an appropriate time to scream. Really? That's pretty scary. Like, look here. So what the script that it's freaking out about when the AI bot screams, right? Oh, fire. Oh, my goodness. What? Oh, my God. Okay, it's happening. What's the procedure? Everybody stay fucking calm. No. That's pretty funny. So the AI's, that's basically sentience. This is an ethical dilemma, folks. Are we just a simulation, right? This is where philosophy comes into a lot of this stuff. It's pretty crazy when you start thinking about it. Some news for the Canadians out there. Canada's blockchain advantage. Small enough to move fast, big enough to matter. So we're going to talk a little bit about Canada's role in the whole blockchain ecosystem here. And there's some stuff that might surprise you near the end of this article, believe it or not, folks. Canada's a mess right now with the government, as if you're not watching, as I'm sure you may or may not know, I guess. But oh boy, are we in trouble. And we have the chance here in a few days with the election coming up to maybe make some actual change in this country, but I guess that's to be seen. Over the past several years, global discourse around blockchain has been dominated by the US. Other jurisdictions have sought to fill the void. As crypto hubs, yet each of them faced a critical limitation. None of them were natural centers of technological innovation, at global scale. Canada, by contrast, holds an often overlooked but exceptionally strategic position. Not only is it geographically and culturally aligned with the United States, but also shares a kindred entrepreneurial ethos. More importantly, Canada has deep organic roots in blockchain innovation. Check this out. Ethereum, arguably the most important programmable blockchain platform, second only to Bitcoin by market cap, was conceived in Toronto. Did you know that, folks? Blockstream, the core Bitcoin infrastructure company, is based in Montreal. It is commonplace to find Canadian engineers, developers, and executives playing pivotal roles in leading U.S. blockchain firms. Thousands more contribute independently as blockchain technologists and software developers. Canada has a critical structural advantage, agility. Where the United States is weighed down by institutional complexity, Canada can indeed be nimble. In the U.S., the path to coherent crypto regulation remains tangled in bureaucratic inertia. Legislation shuttles between the House and Senate, often stalling or contradicting itself. Canada, in contrast, benefits from fewer layers of government, closer coordination between agencies, and a regulatory culture that, when sufficiently motivated, can respond with speed and clarity. This structural simplicity presents a rare opportunity. Canada can leapfrog the US by becoming the first G7 nation to adopt a coherent, innovation-friendly blockchain strategy. And here's what the plan could look like. Welcome global blockchain companies, establish a crypto-friendly tax regime, modernize tax policy to support instead of penalize, right? Clarify and streamline regulation, strong consumer protections and financial integrity will remain essential, of course. Mandate crypto access within Canadian banks, which is kind of already happening, I think, in the background. Integrate blockchain into capital markets. That's going to be super important. Promote blockchain use within the government. Now, of course, why wouldn't the government get involved? Establish a national cryptocurrency reserve. I mean, this only makes sense in today's day and age. All of these steps are part of a larger imperative future proofing Canada's economy. So blockchain is no longer an emerging technology, obviously. It is actively reshaping sectors such as finance, digital identity, supply chains, and gaming. It's not to be stopped, right? And if you can't beat them, join them. So the governments are all trying to get involved. And I mean, some smart governments might actually do get involved. Like, El Salvador's been pioneering that shit for a while now. They were the first country to adopt Bitcoin as a national currency, although, yes, that all got fucked up. But I mean, it's not the point. They tried, right? They're pioneering this shit. Brazil's also like a crypto capital of the world, apparently. Like, Brazil's on fire with this shit. A little bit of Ripple news here. Ripple XRP takes the lead over Swift in BIS cross-border payments task force. Oh, crazy shit. So my highlighting got deleted here, but that's all right. This is kind of what we talk about all the time here anyways, but long central in the coordination of world financial policy and innovation among central banks, the Bank of International Settlements, also known as the BIS, historically dominated by SWIFT, which is the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. Its cross-border payments task force is an effort aiming at increasing the speed, cost, transparency, and accessibility of international payments. Now it's saying aiming at increasing the speed and cost. I don't think they want to increase the cost. I think they want to reduce the cost, but there's no editors anymore these days, or shit's just all written by AI. I'm not really sure. But anyways, it means to reduce the cost, increase transparency, and accessibility of international payments. However, as real-time settlements become more sought after and reliance on middlemen decreases, blockchain technologies like XRP and RippleNet are starting to be seen as practical substitutes by international companies such as the BIS. Excuse me. Like I say every time, though, Ripple has payment rails in place for all these countries for 10 to 11 years. So XRP is already being used exclusively 100% for back-end transactions in Bank of America. Like, this is huge stuff. And, it's kind of going under the radar for a lot of people. Just because XRP is not doing what meme coins are doing. It's not a meme coin, right? Ripple's competitive edge over Swift. While Ripple steadily positioned XRP as a bridge currency for foreign payments, Ripple offers both messaging and settlement in one solution, unlike Swift, which serves mostly as just a messaging system between banks. Its power greatly shortened settlement durations from days just to a few seconds, as XRP's transactions are 2 to 3 seconds. Now, these technical benefits help explain why Ripple's inclusion and now leadership inside the BIS task force is so prominent, because its on-demand liquidity offering replaces pre-funded accounts by using XRP to offer fast liquidity for cross-border transactions. Swift is slower and more costly than other systems, as it still mostly depends on conventional financial infrastructure. Through Swift, though Swift has tried to modernize via projects like Swift GPI, it has yet to match the agility and openness presented by Ripple's blockchain-based approach. So this is kind of, again, Ripple, XLM, which is Stellar Lumens, and XDC, which is Zinfin Network, are definitely like the trifecta that you're going to want to definitely check out. It's not financial advice, but holding those tokens is probably a smart move moving into the future. Buy the dips. All right, let's move on. Russia to launch a national crypto exchange limited to high net worth investors. I don't know, I've heard some other people talking about this stuff, and stuff like this is going to happen in North America as well. So it's not too far off, when people are saying things like, crypto.com is going to price out everyone that's not like an institutional grade investor, not an accredited investor, and that's kind of scary stuff, because they're a pretty how do I put it? A pretty good platform to onboard people who aren't super familiar with crypto. It's a little more user friendly for people. Anyways, the exchange aims to regulate digital asset activity and facilitate its use in cross-border trade under a pilot legal framework. It will operate within an experimental legal regime established to allow foreign trade participants to settle transactions via crypto. The regime, in effect since September 2024, provides a tightly controlled environment for digital asset experimentation without legalizing crypto payments within Russia's domestic economy. The effort seeks to pull crypto activity out of informal markets and place it under regulatory oversight. Eligibility for the new platform will be restricted to investors classified as highly qualified, a category that includes individuals with significant holdings in securities or deposits exceeding 100 million rubles, or those with annual incomes above 50 million rubles. Now, I'm not sure what that translates to in American. We can check here in a sec, but currently Russian citizens are permitted to own, mine, and trade crypto, but legal restrictions prevent them from using it for payments inside the country. In the absence of a centralized national exchange, most crypto activity relies on foreign platforms, which carry additional legal and geopolitical risks. Now, let's see what 100 million rubles is in US dollars. It's the 1.2 million United States, so you'd have to make, 600,000 in your household, or, have 1.2 million. That's definitely an accredited investor, if you ask me. Bitcoin mining is barely profitable for miners. Well, things definitely happen in the market when this happens, right? Things have to change some way or another. Something's got to give, right? There's always going to be a weak point somewhere. So keep that in mind. After last April's halving, the income for Bitcoin miners has fallen sharply. The hash price, which stands for revenue per petahash, is stuck at around $45 per hash. And the lowest level in the past 5 years is actually where we're at. So there's a big difference from the profitability seen during the 2021 bull, which was standing at $405 per hash. So rising mining difficulty, reduced block rewards, and lower transaction fees and high energy costs are reducing profit margins, which means, the price is going to have to move one way or the other. I guess there's a 50% chance it's going to go up, 50% chance it's going to go down, like they say. Not much to talk about on this next one here, but this is something to note, right? But you're going to look at this two different ways here, because I'm going to try to give you more non-biased perspective. Just in, Bitcoin portability is underemphasized. It's very hard to transport lots of cash or gold. You can't put $400 million of gold onto a disk drive and move it if you need to. Coinbase, head of institutional strategy. And he has a good point here. That's Bitcoin's utility, is like, moving large amounts of money, across borders. But really, XRP is doing the same fucking thing, except better, quicker, faster, more efficient, and has more connections because, like I said, Ripple's been involved with all these different countries and institutions for like 10 years already. It's already all in place. That shit's happening. So Bitcoin, is also, nobody knows who made it. And if Satoshi's wallet is holding that many, we don't know what's going to happen there. And again, you have two people controlling Bitcoin aside from Satoshi's wallet, which is, MicroStrategy and BlackRock, who could, if they dunk on the markets, cause a serious problem for people. And again, a 51% attack is possible in Bitcoin, where if, say, a threat actor like China, for example, wanted to hold 51% of the nodes, which I think they actually did hold 53% of the nodes at one time, if my memory serves me correctly, that means they could actually take over the Bitcoin network and start fudging transactions or making transactions not happen. It's pretty crazy stuff. Anyways, let's move on. The Lucci meme coin jumps 100% as traders capitalize on the news of Pope Francis passing. What the fuck is wrong with people? Lucy, a Vatican-themed meme coin, saw its value rise more than 100% today after the Catholic Church announced the death of Pope Francis. A token which launched in 2024 had lost more than half its value before the latest resurgence. While Catholics globally are mourning the death of the religious leader, meme coin traders seem to have capitalized on that moment to trade Lucy meme coin. According to CoinMarketCap data, the token has generated almost $50 million in trading volume over the last 24 hours, which is a 515% increase. Unsurprisingly, Lucci is not the only Catholic-inspired meme coin that performed well in the last 24 hours. This is kind of like what we talked about a few weeks ago there, where somebody ended their life and somebody made a meme coin of it right away or whatever, and it's, you know, it's a fucked up space, folks. So a little bit of Ethereum news here. Tell me what you think about this one in the comments. I think it's too little too late, personally. I'll just preface it with that. But Vitalik proposes replacing EVM with RISC-V to scale Ethereum. Ethereum's co-founder Vitalik has sparked debate within the crypto community following April 20th blog post, in which he proposed the idea of replacing the Ethereum virtual machine, also known as the EVM, the virtual machine language that Ethereum smart contracts are written in, with RISC-V, an open-source computer program architecture. According to Buterin, adopting RISC-V would greatly improve the efficiency of the Ethereum execution layer, resolving one of the primary scaling bottlenecks, and can also greatly improve the execution layer simplicity. One possibility, if Buterin's proposal is implemented, is for Ethereum developers to begin writing smart contracts in Rust, which is the programming language used by Solana. Taking a step back, I think it raises the question of what is Ethereum's priority purpose right now? A layer 1 execution, simplicity, decentralization, or layer 2 enablement? This would be great for layer 1 execution, but that lowers the value add of layer 2s, competing against ourselves, and doesn't add much value to that roadmap in exchange for a huge technical lift, said crypto investor Adam Cochran. Meanwhile, another user, Levs57, pushed back hard on the proposal, saying it rests on some shaky assumptions about how proof systems work and what they're capable of. He pointed out that a current ZK EVM implementations already rely heavily on precompiles for anything computationally heavy, hashing, signatures, etc. This could mean switching to RISC-V wouldn't necessarily really reduce complexity or maintenance. How it could work, though? Buterin also discussed possible ways to implement the proposal. The first and least chaotic approach would be to support 2 virtual machines and allow smart contracts to be written using either. Smart contracts are self-executable computer programs typically deployed in blockchain environments. The second, more radical approach is to make all existing EVM smart contracts capable of calling an EVM interpreter contract written in RISC-V that runs their existing code. This would allow EVM contracts to interact with the new virtual machine. The third and final approach would be to implement the second approach, but create an explicit protocol feature for it. This means that a virtual machine interpreter with logic written by RISC-V will become a permanent feature within the virtual machine architecture. Talk a little bit more about Canada and the upcoming election here, and who is going to be better for Bitcoin. Bitcoin critic Mark Carney's chances of winning Canadian election climb. He's no good. He's a WF puppet. Bitcoin critic and CBDC fan Mark Carney is favored to win Canada's election later this month, according to both crypto betting markets and other prediction models. But the likelihood is now sort of over 82%. So they say. I think there's going to be a big surprise here in a few days for people. But Poilievre's odds on the Conservative Party of winning stand at apparently 17%. Looking at the odds from a non-degen perspective, the Economist prediction model on Wednesday gave Carney's Liberal Party an 86% chance of winning. The tide has turned since January when Tesla CEO Elon Musk endorsed crypto enthusiastic candidate Poilievre on the Conservatives. Back then, prediction market Polymarket gave him an 89% chance of winning the role. Canadians appear to favor Carney for taking a tough stance on President Trump, who became a hot topic in the Canadian election after suggesting that Canada should become the 51st U.S. state. The Liberals are just pushing fear to stupid people. These stupid people can't think for themselves, unfortunately, and they can't even, fathom the thought that someone might think differently than them. So they just lash out in anger as soon as you give their ideology even the slightest amount of scrutiny, and it's pretty funny to watch. But they're so afraid that they don't have any logic behind it, right? They just are getting manipulated by the same Liberal Party who's screwed over Canada for the last 10 years. And, I mean, food's expensive. Nobody can afford a house. There's the homeless people all over the fucking place now. Drugs are horribly bad right now because, a multitude of separate issues. But it's getting really, really, really bad. Like, our winters are not friendly. The amount of homeless people we have here is crazy, that they're willing to stick it out through the winter. Like we get minus 40, minus 50 Celsius here sometimes. Like it's absolutely insane. Conservative Polyev has been pro-Bitcoin for years, though. He said back in 2022 that due to government mismanagement of the Canadian dollar, Canadians should have the freedom to use other money, such as Bitcoin. Vote conservative, folks, if you're voting, if you're in Canada. We don't really have an option right now but to get a different party in place with a majority. And the only party that really has a chance to do so is the Conservatives, because the Liberals are just, this exact same party that's been doing the same shit. They have the same ministers in place. Like, it's just such a mess right now, folks. It's a scary, scary time in Canada. They're trying to take away our property rights, right to self-defense, right to think freely. You can't even post a news link on Facebook due to Canadian government policies. They're taking away all our speech, all of our rights. It's literally turning into a communist fascist dictatorship. Moving on here, though. His comments came when Canadian truckers were protesting nationwide vaccination mandates amid the COVID-19 bullshit pandemic and received Bitcoin donations. On the other hand, Carney, who worked at the Bank of England as a governor, has spoken about how the North American country needs a CBDC, or central bank digital currency. Many Bitcoiners have adopted an anti-CBDC stance due to privacy concerns. Yeah, obviously, CBDCs are bad, okay? And even Trump said there won't be any CBDCs happening in the States, which is a better stance to take. CBDC just means control, basically. Everything is already basically a CBDC. It just doesn't fucking make sense that they need to try to implement something. Anyway, this is where Ripple's going to come in with XRP. Not the point right now. Canada's in trouble, folks. Canada's in trouble. Pray for us. Previewing the Canadian elections crypto angle. Not a ton to talk about here, but crypto's not a major electoral issue during this year's Canadian election. Neither leading prime minister candidate has campaigned on digital assets, but here's how they've discussed the issue in the past. I mean, we've got fucking way bigger issues than this right now in Canada. So I'm glad they're not, making this a big fucking issue, because just let it be what it is, for now. Canada infamously had massive crypto exchange collapses over the past few years, leading to concerted efforts from its provincial regulators to enact guardrails on the digital asset industry. While exchanges like Coinbase are calling for policies like a Canadian government task force or Bitcoin reserve, so far the leading candidates for prime minister seem to have other issues on their minds, namely U.S. relations and trade, housing, and the economy. Yeah, you fucking think? Like, duh. But I mean, if we get, more liberals, this country is stupider than I thought. I mean, I hate to say it, but like, you have people who just are literally supporting people from other countries. In this case, specifically, the guy in the video is Muslim, and he's saying Sharia law is going to come to Canada. We're going to take over and we're going to kill gay people in the street because that's what Sharia law is, and that's how we operate, basically. And that's kind of scary, because that type of speech is being allowed on our media here, and it's not okay, right? Like, it's just not okay. That's not what our culture is here at all, and things are kind of breaking down here, to say the least, folks. But right now, this election is super important because of a lot of this. The immigration, the economy is really screwing us. Like, there's no problem with immigrants. It's just the way that immigrants are being let in. They're not being vetted properly. And a lot of them don't even want to learn the language, and they don't have the same cultural values, right? So it's turning into kind of like segregation a lot here in Canada, and it kind of sucks. We're going to the polls on next Monday. A lot of people have been voting early. Again, make sure you get out there and vote Conservative, folks. But when we go to the polls next Monday, we'll be choosing our member of parliament. The party with the majority of seats will form the country's new government, and the leader of that party will become the new prime minister. So our voting system is a little different. We're not voting for the actual leader. It's all about seats and who has more seats in the party, and then those parties win per province. But because the East has so many fucking seats for such a small area, we kind of get fucked over here in the West. It's a mess, folks. We need complete reform across the board. Polyev, though, is a longtime Bitcoin and blockchain advocate who has led the Conservative Party since September 2022. He owns shares in a Bitcoin ETF, and in 2022, he promised to turn Canada into a blockchain and crypto capital of the world during a campaign speech, a phrase Trump later used on the 2024 campaign trail. So Trump actually stole it from Polyev, it sounds like. I want to take control of money away from politicians and bankers and give it back to the people, Polyev said. We need to give people the freedom to choose other money. If the government's going to abuse our cash, we should have the right to opt to use other higher quality cash. And he's right. I appreciate that. You know what I mean? That's someone that's standing up for our rights, which we have God-given rights of self-defense shit, which nobody's really standing up for yet either. But at least he's working on a lot of this stuff. And, you know, I guess it's all to be seen. I know a lot of politicians are all liars, but he's a real, Canadian. He's from where I'm from. And, it's good because he understands the values of the West and the East. And he's a clear-headed individual. He supported Canada's trucker protest, which dubs itself the Freedom Convoy. If you're pretty much anywhere in the world, I'm sure you heard about that. It was making news headlines all over the place. At the time, the Canadian government sought to freeze financial support for the protesters, including by sanctioning crypto wallets tied to the truckers. This is such fucking bullshit. Well, Polyev does not appear to have specifically linked Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies to the truckers who may have lost banking access. He did call Bitcoin the single most important asset you could own. Polyev has also opposed the Bank of Canada's research into a central bank digital currency, arguing that it could infringe on privacy rights or let lawmakers target benefits to supporters. Last year, he supported a bill which would have banned a Canadian CBDC outright, echoing U.S. Republicans who have done the same here. Canadian magazine Maclean's reported that while Polyev has said less about crypto in recent days, the Conservative Party as a whole still tends to support the industry, citing various members of Parliament who have introduced bills or otherwise discussed crypto. Bullish, bullish, bullish. Polyev did seem to discuss crypto publicly less after FTX's dramatic collapse in 2022, which his political opponents used to issue warnings about his prior advocacy for digital assets. Polyev may also be reckoning with Trump's unpopularity in Canada and seeking to distance himself from policies that may imitate the U.S. president's. Carney was ahead of both the Bank of Canada and later the Bank of England, which he's the only person not from England or not an English citizen to be part of the Bank of England, by the way. Well, he hasn't said a lot about Bitcoin. He did give a speech on the future of money in London in March 2018, where he criticized digital assets use. Carney pointed to transaction throughput, ease of access, and other issues as barriers to digital asset adoption, but he said his concerns with digital assets at the time were not meant to dismiss them. Carney praised distributed ledgers in particular and suggested that existing digital asset infrastructure could eventually lead to the creation of a CBDC, although he said there are broader societal questions around issues like privacy. Should a central bank pursue a CBDC? He's a WF puppet. Also, apparently Klaus Schwab retired or stepped down from the WF, so interesting development there. Mark Carney probably going to be the next one, huh? We'll see what happens. Fuck, scary times, folks. Just over a year later, the Economic Policy Symposium in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Carney suggested that a global hegemonic digital currency backed by central bank digital currencies could bolster the world economy against the role of the dollar. This sounds horrible. This guy's no good for anybody. He doesn't even live in Canada. Like, how the hell can he be our prime minister? He's moved all his businesses over to the States as well. He's promoting pipelines in China, but won't promote doing pipelines here. So he's crippling our economy while getting in bed with China. Like, fuck. The dollar's influence on global financial conditions could similarly decline if a financial architecture developed around the new synthetic hegemonic currency and it's displaced the dollar dominance in credit markets, he said in August 2019. So he didn't even like cryptos. He's not thinking clearly. All he wants is control and power for himself. Scary, scary stuff. Bitcoin rises. Gold hits all new time highs once again as the stock market enters bear market and potential decoupling. As the stock market extends its losses, Bitcoin has reclaimed the $88,000 level while gold has reached yet another all-time high. That is a bad, bad sign, folks. Over 232 million in positions have been liquidated in the past 24 hours from Bitcoin, most of them being traders attempting to short Bitcoin. While gold is trading at all-time highs at $3,400 plus, Bitcoin is still nearly 20% below its high. Fundstrat Chief Investment Officer Tom Lee says that he's expecting Bitcoin to play catch-up with the yellow metal. Nobody really knows why that happens. My guess would be a lot of the central banks and institutional investors are either not approved to buy Bitcoin or they're not used to running to Bitcoin in these moments of sort of geopolitical uncertainty. What we do see, though, is when gold runs, about 100 days later or so, Bitcoin not only catches up, usually runs much harder. So you get that kind of higher volatility. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Does that mean we're poised for Bitcoin breakout here in 100 days? Gold's been running, though. The 100 days could, be counting down. We could be 30 days out. It's hard to say. BlackRock and MicroStrategy hold more Bitcoin than Satoshi. Kind of. BlackRock's flagship spot Bitcoin ETF holds 573,187 Bitcoin, and MicroStrategy holds 538,200 Bitcoin. Their 1,111,387 Bitcoin exceeds the quantity rumored to belong to Satoshi Nakamoto. Arkham Intelligence estimates Satoshi's holdings at approximately 1,096,000 Bitcoin. Other estimates usually peak at 1.1 million. Few historians provide evidence for Satoshi owning more than 1.1 million Bitcoin, unless Satoshi subsequently purchased or mined secretly after he disappeared in April 2011. Therefore, it is safe to assume that BlackRock and MicroStrategy own more than Satoshi's publicly known Bitcoin holdings. Of course, both of these institutions hold encumbered Bitcoin, unlike Satoshi's trove of self-mined Bitcoin stored on personal wallets with no known claims of third-party ownership. Millions of third parties have legal claim to the Bitcoin at BlackRock and MicroStrategy. In other words, BlackRock and MicroStrategy technically hold more Bitcoin than Satoshi's publicly verifiable wallets. Nevertheless, millions of people have various types of claims on their combined 1.1 million Bitcoin. In the end, despite the institutional centralization of digital asset ownership over the last decade, Satoshi remains the world's wealthiest individual crypto owner. Crazy, crazy stuff. Shout out, Kirk. The golden age has arrived, he says. Death to Islam, he says, and send your vote for non-confidence to the Governor General of Canada, he says. Sovereignty and your land and mineral rights matter, he says. I would have to agree with most of that for sure. There's huge changes happening here in the world, folks. The golden age has arrived. The biggest wealth transfer in history is taking place right under our noses, essentially. And sovereignty, obviously super important, and land and mineral rights absolutely matter. Property rights matter. Being able to defend yourself matters. Some common sense matters too, you know what I mean? And we're at a really, really big inflection point here, folks. Scary times. Pro crypto lawyer is surprised Ripple isn't following Coinbase's example. Several leading crypto companies, including Circle, Coinbase, BitGo, and Paxos, are reportedly planning to apply for banking charters or licenses in the US. Pro-crypto lawyer John Deaton expressed his surprise at the payments firm Ripple not applying for the banking license. While some firms are trying to obtain banking charters in order to operate like traditional banking institutions, other firms are trying to obtain necessary licenses to offer select services such as stablecoin issuance. Though Deaton is surprised at Ripple not going after a banking license, the payment firm is set to acquire the prime broker Hidden Road for $1.25 billion. And I think once they acquire them, they will have all the licensing they need without actually getting a license themselves. I've heard that other institutions are also trying to do that, other exchanges, so things are definitely changing on the landscape. A few more articles here for tonight. El Salvador works with NVIDIA to develop sovereign AI infrastructure. El Salvador is always on the forefront of all this shit. Yeah, things may not be working always in their favor, but at least they're pioneering this stuff, right? As part of the collaboration, El Salvador would benefit from NVIDIA's AI tools, resources, and expertise, enabling the development of sovereign AI capabilities, targeting priorities related to culture, language, environment, and economy. El Salvador's latest collaboration with NVIDIA marks the country's commitment to encouraging AI usage to optimize multiple processes within the government and society. With this new AI push, El Salvador intends to establish AI training programs for developers, researchers, and government officials to ensure the nation has the talent to sustain its AI ambitions. One example includes the creation of AI-driven models to forecast weather and rainfall, which would support emergency response, protect residents in landslide-prone areas, and optimize hydroelectric power management. El Salvador's NVIDIA partnership adds to a growing list of AI-focused initiatives. Pretty cool stuff. Good to hear that countries are helping further the evolution and adoption of cryptos. XRP price coiled for a significant move as key volatility indicator mirrors 2024 patterns. Does that mean a move up or a move down? Let me know what you think in the comments once we talk about this article. Price action for XRP and Bitcoin resembles a tightly compressed spring on the verge of uncoiling with sudden release of energy. That's the message from a key volatility indicator called the Bollinger Bands. In the case of XRP, the Bollinger Bands have narrowed to the lowest level since October 2024 on the 4-hour chart. The long-held belief is that a tighter Bollinger Band, reflecting a quiet period in the market, is akin to a compressed spring ready for a significant movement. During these calm phases, the market accumulates energy that is eventually released once a clear direction is established, often leading to dramatic rallies or sharp price declines. So what do you think? We're going to get a sharp decline or are we going to get a dramatic rally? I'm voting for rally, but it's a 50% that it could rally. It's a 50% that it could decline. That's just literally how it works day to day, right? Depends what time frame you're looking at. If you look far enough out, crypto has never really been in a downturn, right? Final article for tonight, folks. Rich Dad, Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki unveils $1 million Bitcoin price prediction in the face of coming Great Depression. The Rich Dad, Poor Dad author said the USA may be headed for a Great Depression that will put millions into poverty. However, Kiyosaki also said that there will be a few who decide to accumulate gold, silver, and Bitcoin, and they will come out of the economic collapse as the new rich. If a poor person bought a few ounces of gold or silver, or a half ounce of Bitcoin, I predict they may become the new rich. This once the depression is over, he says. I strongly believe by 2035 that one Bitcoin will be over $1 million, and gold will be $30,000 an ounce, and silver will be $3,000 an ounce. It will be the easiest money you've ever made. Those who wait in fear may be the biggest losers. This coming Great Depression will cause millions to be poor, and a few who take action may enjoy great wealth and freedom. And he's right, but I mean, the reason that gold and shit is going up is because the value of the dollar is going down, right? The economy is changing, right? The U.S. is losing its foothold in the position of essentially leader of the free world. Pretty scary stuff. Let me know what you think in the comments, folks. We are living in absolutely crazy times. As usual, I want to remind you to always do your own research, right? Don't trust, verify. You can dig into all this stuff and make your own opinions before you make any decisions. But if you're not holding XRP, I gotta say, what are you doing with your life? It's XRP is one of the most solid investments. Buy every dip you can afford to, folks. XEC, XLM, and XRP are the trifecta. Algo, H, Bar, Quant, all ISO 20,000, 2022 tokens, which is, that's going to be a big thing going forward here. And those tokens are some of the few that are going to survive. Regulation is going to change everything, folks. It's the Wild West out here, and things are it's pretty crazy, right? But it's kind of the fun of it, Especially learning, being involved in this stuff. It's quite a blessing. It's a good ride for sure. If you're here, just know you're still early. The world's adoption of crypto is like, a small percentage. It's like 5% or less, as far as I know. Anyways, folks, I appreciate you being with me tonight, sticking through here, checking everything out. Let me know what you think in the comments. Always make sure you head over to Dex Screener. You hit that rocket on Quantzilla. Head over to www.quantzilla.online. Check out what we got going on over there. NFTs, we got several projects. XRPT, we're doing airdrop. Snapshot either has happened in the last day or two or maybe happening in the next day or two. We're not announcing exactly when, but have over 2 billion Qzilla. Have the the trust line set, I should say, for XRPT, Moon, and XRP Apes, and get that airdrop, folks. It's going to be awesome. Once again, appreciate you sticking with. Appreciate you all. I hope you have a good night. Stay safe out there. Bless and love. Bless and love.